Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Uncle Matt's Cookery Lessons. Going to make custard tarts. Okay then, so this custard tart is loosely related to the horrible thing that, if you remember, seeing in the baker's shop window, an individual little tart, soggy pastry, underfilled custard with a sprinkling of nutmeg on top. So that's basically what we're doing, but we're going to bring this up to date. What you saw me do there was mix some salt with some plain flour, some orange zest, lemon zest to be fine, and this is the butter going in. This is for a sweet short crust pastry. It is a very high fat pastry, and normally I would do this in a food processor, but I thought I'd do it in a bowl this time to show you that. But if you have a food processor, what I would recommend you do is roll the butter in with the flour, pop that in the fridge for an extra half an hour or so, let it get really cold, put it in your blender and blitz it until it looks crummy. And by the time you got your blender out and then cleaned it up and put it away afterwards, you may have had this ready anyway. There we go. So just keep working at it if you do it with your hands. Try to do as much with your fingertips as possible. Try not to get the heat from your palms into this to melt the fat. Once it looks breadcrumby, time to add the eggs. I've just made a little well there to make it easier, and I put in one whole egg and one egg yolk. If using your food processor, do this part in that as well. I'm just using a plain old kitchen knife, an eating knife, to sort of cut through it and then start mixing it, and then I'm going to get in there with my hand and bring this together. If you do need any liquid, I would recommend what you do is just sort of get your hands damp and work it. But as I say, it's a high fat content one, so you're unlikely to need that. If it feels really, really sticky and too wet, then obviously you can add a bit more flour to it. But that is going to go in the fridge for at least half an hour or so to really set up. So the custard tart, what is it? Well, this dates back to medieval times. The French could claim it. I believe it was served at Henry IV's coronation. Now that was Henry IV of England, but as we all know, he was French. He was one of the Plantagenets, I believe. So it's old. Here I am just getting my removable bottom tart or flan case ready. That was hard to say. What I'm going to do is just an extra bit of security so that I know my tart is going to come out afterwards. I'm going to add a little, what's known in a fancy name, a cartouche. Basically just means a little disc of baking parchment cut to the right size. You see me there folding it in half again, and then cutting it like so, and then you end up with hopefully the right size little disc that's going to fit in there. And then one other little layer of security for me to convince me that it's going to come out alright, just a smearing of vegetable oil, just a tiny bit. Just rub that on there we go. And that went back in the fridge as well, so in between times I'm making sure everything is nice and cold. So a little while later we can roll out this pastry. The pastry is set. It's going to be really, really hard because it's very high butter content, and butter obviously goes hard in the fridge, doesn't it? So use plenty of flour. Don't be tight with the flour. You're going to need it because it's a sticky one. So just work it out, take your time, keep rolling and turning, carefully lifting it up. I roll that out thickness wise to probably about 3 millimeters. Now, if you want to go a bit thicker, that's absolutely fine. Just make sure it's big enough for you to be able to cut a nice big circle around it. My tart case, my flan case is quite deep, so that is actually necessary to be that much bigger than the case because it's got to get up the sides. Now, I saw this technique a few times recently and I really liked it. Oh, there's me trying to do another split screen and just, I don't know, I'm either going to give up or I'm going to nail it one day. But folding it in half and then into a quarter to make like a segment, just put the corner, this pointy bit, dead centre, and open it up. I saw that by a guy called Bruno Albuz, who is an absolute legend in pastry. He's got a great YouTube channel. So, the pastry, what you have to do, so that it doesn't tear, especially because it's high fat one, is you've got to get it right down into the corners. So, lift it up and ease it down. Let gravity do this work. Don't try to use the pastry that's already in the case. Use the stuff that's outside. Let that get all the way, work it down. Use your knuckles, the back of them, whatever you want. Your thumb, take your time, get it really, really pushed into the corners. And then what you'll see me do in a second is I'm going to take a bit of the leftover pastry that I cut away, like a ball of it, dipped it in flour, and press that into there as well. So it's lined. I don't want to cut it off from the top because it may well shrink and fall inside. So I'm just leaving a slight overhang, about an inch or so. And again, that went back in the freezer. In the fridge for about 5-10 minutes just to set it up again. Now prick it thoroughly with a fork all over the bottom. I've got a bit of a scrunched up baking parchment. You can use about 3 or 4 layers of cling film, but I just prefer the parchment. And I've got some ceramic baking beans, but some dried rice or dried any sort of beans will do the job. It's up to you. That tray is hot already. Give the bottom of this case, the pastry case, a head start. The oven has been preheated. It's been on for about half an hour. 170 degrees. Now that is the cream for this recipe. Now that's not going on the heat just yet, okay? Not just yet, because we're only going to do that when we're ready to go with the pastry case. This is the other parts of the filling though. This is the custard part. So this recipe requires 3 whole eggs and 3 egg yolks. Very simple. And some sugar. Feel free to add other things to this. It's your custard tart at the end of the day, but I'm keeping mine really, really quite plain and traditional. But vanilla obviously would be gorgeous. Some more zest, orange zest. If you wanted to flavour your cream with some sort of smashed up cloves or star anise, that would be very nice as well. So there we go. That's had 20 minutes, this pastry case. We have a look. How's it doing? The outside is getting nice and golden, but obviously the inside isn't. But the point of those baking beans is to stop this thing rising. They've done the job very well. This is me doing a little patch up job. So obviously don't throw away your leftover pastry. Hold on to it. And just take small amounts of it. And if you see what looks like a little hole or a gap or even just a little sort of slit, fill it with the pastry. Pop that back in. So that's had a further 15 minutes. The temperature was lower. I lowered it down to 150 degrees. See the temperatures I put on the screen so you can see. And now that's looking almost there, but I want to get a little bit of colour on it. So without the baking beans, back in the oven, and there. Isn't that nice? And it's gorgeously crispy. That's fine. Now I've saved the egg whites that I didn't use. I didn't throw them away. I'm just giving this thing a thorough brush with the egg white. Obviously, if you've thrown away your egg whites, you can use whole egg. We're going to make sure this is guaranteed to be waterproof. Okay, because we're putting a very, very wet, runny mixture in it. Any little holes, the liquid will find its way through and you've got a ruined, absolutely ruined tart or flan, if you want to be all fancy about it. And there we go. How pleased am I? I'm very pleased. Pastry case done. Right, let's finish off the filling. So now I've boiled up the cream. The reason why I'm doing this, boiling this cream late, is because I want to actually put this mixture in while it's still warm. Temper your eggs though, so don't chuck it all in one go. Add a little stream, keep whisking it, add a bit more, keep whisking it until you're happy that it's sort of controlled temperature, then it won't scramble. That's just an extra little check there. Maybe a little bit of eggshell could have got in, but especially if you've put other flavours into your cream, that's a good way to get those out. Now we're going to fill this up in the oven. quite often these will be filled absolutely to the brim, so that's a very good reason for doing it in the oven. Mine wasn't, so maybe I didn't have to do it this way. And this is a bit of a faff, I've got to be honest with you, but I was here for about a good 5 minutes grating just under about 1.5 whole nutmegs. Just keep grating, it will stay on the surface of the cream. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. It is absolutely key for what makes this tart what it is. It is an egg and nutmeg custard tart. That was after 20 minutes. You could see it was still wobbly. Another 40 minutes, and it's a very low oven. That's 120 degrees centigrade. That's particularly low deliberately so that it doesn't souffle when it cooks. And look at that, isn't that nice? That little wobble. And this is the next day, and that is me showing you the knife that I'm going to use. So I would call that a pastry knife. Some people might call it an offset serrated knife. So it's not like a bread knife. It's not serrated on both sides. One side is serrated, the other side is smooth. If you're using a really, really harsh bread knife, you're going to cut great big chunks of this pastry off. And as I'm cutting it, I'm pushing out so that the crumbs hopefully just stay on the work surface and don't sit on the top of the tart. Just tidy up as I go around there. It's all looking really rather lovely. Now this is the test. Will it come off? Now this is absolutely cold, remember, and it's a very, very high fat butter pastry, so there's a chance that it might stick, but no, it hasn't at all. I'm thrilled. But don't try to do this when your tart is warm because, well, it's going to just fall apart. There we go. Nice big fat palette knife. Get that off there. That shows you how the tart case has worked well. That little bit of paper is still on the bottom, and I'm just going to pull that away now. Put it on my lovely board, my presenting board. I think it looks nice and snazzy. And I'm going to cut this a bit of hot water for the knife. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because it's a significant week this week for Great Britain. We are leaving the European Union. Now, this channel is a cookery channel, is apolitical. But I just thought I would do something to commemorate it. It is a big event, and lots of people are upset and lots of people are really happy. And I just thought, well, let's see if Uncle Matt can try to bring the people that are disagreeing together with a custard tart. I know, it's a stretch, but look at it. Isn't it gorgeous? So I do hope you've enjoyed this lesson, and let me know how you get on. And I'll see you in the next video, which will be coming really soon. Bye. Oh, look at it. Isn't it lovely? Oh, you want that.